good.
There we go. So this is the first question. How are you?
In general,
Just in
I'm
general.
good.
This is
It's a
yes
good day.
question.
It's a good day. Good day to be alive. I'm good.
Alright. So we'll just go straight into it. Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Um, in the aspect of where I was born or how was my childhood?
Yeah, how was it more so?
It was a little rough. When you grow up with a single black mom, your expectations are yes, ma'am, no, sir. Um, very focused on staying out of trouble, doing what it takes to go to school to make good grades. Um, Certain curfews at certain times, we were not allowed to be out after 10. Most of my other friends were. So I grew up in a very strict environment growing up. But it didn't hurt me any. Kept me out of jail. Which is a good thing.
What were your dreams as a child? Or as a youth?
Probably like most guys, firemen, policemen.
That's what you wanted to be, what you always envisioned?
Um, Mainly police. I actually, when I was growing up, I was going to join the military for a while, and I went to the Marine Corps office, and I was signing up until I found out at that time they were bombing a lot of the embassies, and they wanted to put me at the front gate, and I was like, no. So I kind of nixed that one.
Law enforcement? I would
Yeah.
never thought.
I've got a lot of security background, like almost 20 years.
Oh,
So yeah.
this is kind of like security.
At times, yeah. At times it is.
Tell me about your relationship with your dad, if there was one, and if there wasn't, in both instances, how did that relationship make you feel?
When I was growing up, my dad wasn't present. Only reason he wasn't is because my mom divorced my dad, and my stepfather was in the military. So he was stationed in Alaska, so we ended up moving to Alaska. So I really didn't get to see my dad until, let's see. Well, let me rephrase that. I was here until I was 6 in Colorado, and then we moved to Alaska. And then I stayed in Alaska for almost 40 something years. And then when I came back, my father and I got back in touch with each other. I mean, he would periodically call to see how I was doing, but I really never saw him until I moved back to Alaska. And now our relationship is probably even stronger because we spend a lot of time together, a lot of fishing and just hanging out, and because I know he's older, so and he has prostate cancer, so I spend a lot more time with him now. So it's good now, real good.
The lack of a relationship, or what was there while you were younger, how did that feel?
The relationship with my father,
Yeah.
um, I
As a
missed him.
kid.
I can't say I didn't miss him, but my stepfather was probably one of the best guys I've ever known all my life. He taught me right from wrong. He taught me how to be a young man because we lived on the military base. So when I was first growing up, we lived on the military base. So he taught me the do's and the don'ts in life and how to treat people with respect. So I still grew up the correct way, even with my real dad being gone.
I mean, growing up, when you would go through the thought process of missing him,
Hmm.
what were some of those thoughts like?
Um, at times, because my mom was really strict, I would wish my dad would come to Alaska and get me and take me. Um, but I did spend like 2 years in college going to mechanic school here because my real dad is retired mechanic, so I wanted to follow in his footsteps.
Yeah.
So I got to spend 2 years with him when I was growing up, and we hit it off pretty good. But my mom was like, you need to come home. So I ended up going back home to be with her. Um, but yeah, I missed him a lot, and I wish he would have been around. But you can't always get what you want.
What about your relationship with your mom?
My relationship with my mom is I love her to death, but she's a little out there at times because it's my mom really lives the old black woman syndrome,
Yeah.
which means do as I say, not as I do. And in my culture, most black women believe they are 100% correct about everything. And I mean everything. So once I graduated college, um, I moved out and I never looked back. I mean, I see her because now we're in the same state, but I don't talk to her as much just because that aspect for me is not something that I believe in, that you're 100% correct and everybody else is wrong. So I love her, but
Can you talk about like a hard, just an example of that happening, like as a kid, of her just being right and you knowing that she's not right, and then having to deal with it?
my biggest, oh shit, that was every day, buddy. But my biggest one that I remember the falling out was the one that probably affected me the most was the night I was going away. Let me back up. My older brother was in the drugs quite a bit. I mean, he moved out when he was like 16, but we still kept in touch. But he was the black sheep of the family. So the night I was going off to college, my brother stopped by just to say goodbye. My mom found out that he was in the house. She came home and threatened to beat the hell out of me because I had let my brother in the house. Um, I didn't understand it. I figured he wasn't doing anything wrong. Her biggest thing was, your brother's going to influence you to do drugs. I'm not that type of person. You can't influence me to do anything. If I want to do it, I'm going to do it. If I don't, I don't. Like I said, she got the extension cord out. She was going to beat me. She slapped me in the face, and I grabbed her hand, and I was like, you will never, ever, ever touch me again.
How old were you?
18? Yeah. And that stuck with me for life. And I'm like, you're never going to touch me again. And I called a cab, got on a plane, and took off and came here to Denver. And that's when I spent some time with my father here.
So, from your mom, dad, and stepdad,
Mm-hmm.
what did you learn from them collectively? Like, what's the lesson that you've learned yourself?
Treat people with respect. That was the one thing that all three of them taught me, is to treat people with respect, but don't let anybody walk over you either.
Yeah.
But so I'm pretty hardcore about that.
Can you tell me about your first love and all the emotions that came with it?
Her name was Debbie Purcelli. I think I was 16, maybe 17. She was my neighbor. We had been friends for years, and we got involved. I loved her. At least I thought I did at that at that age, because you don't really know what love is at that age. You think you do. I wanted to spend all my time with her. Go to, like, we had school functions. I wanted to be around her all the time. She was a nice girl until I found out later on down the line she became a prostitute. So that kind of changed things.
How later on down the line does that mean?
It was a couple of years. I happened to be, well, we all the school kids kind of knew, because she was a little wild,
Yeah.
but she was a good friend of mine, so I took it in stride. But I happened to be in Hawaii, and I heard out of the blue somebody called my name, and it was Debbie, and she was over in Hawaii, and she was leading the hooker life.
Yeah.
100%. So we all kind of knew. But yeah, she was definitely my first love.
about your first heartbreak? How did that feel?
Um, Let me see.
A heartbreak can be from anything.
I think my true first heartbreak was from a girl that I was dating. Um, to be honest, I wanted to kill her, but I didn't. Um, I was scheduled to go see her because she was homesick with the flu, supposedly. I go and knock on the door. She doesn't answer the door. Her car's there. I go around to the back window and she's having sex with another guy. At that time, I was carrying a gun all the time.
How old are you?
I was maybe 19, 20. Because I was working for a security company, if I remember right, part time. And I climbed through the window. And the only reason, the devil is strong at times, because you got the devil on one shoulder saying, kill her, kill her, kill her both, and God on the other shoulder saying that she's not worth it. The only thing that saved her and me was my brother just happened to call me at that exact time. Don't ask, I had no idea. We hadn't spoken in months, and he just happened to call me and talked me out of it and came over and got me from the front of her yard. So that was.
So you caught her having sex
With another guy.
at her house?
Yes.
So you caught her, then walked out, then gathered yourself,
As I was pointing a gun towards them, my brother called and was like, "What are you doing?" And I was in tears and crying and was saying, "I'm gonna kill these motherfuckers."
So you caught him in the act.
In the act, in person. And he's like, no, they're not worth it. You're young. Other women will come along. Yeah. He's like, just let it go. He's like, I'm coming to get you. Gave him the address. I'm sitting on the porch. He pulls up and takes me away. That was.
So how would you describe that emotion in that moment when you have the gun out?
I didn't care. My theory was, if you didn't care about me, why should I have cared about whether you lived or died? And you knew you had a boyfriend, why would you betray me? That didn't make any sense to me.
So you felt enraged?
Huh?
Were you enraged?
Oh yeah, I definitely wanted to hurt him. There was no ifs, ands, and buts about that one. And if my brother hadn't called me, I would have been in prison. I would have went to jail.
Who first taught you love, and how did you learn?
The same girl.
The same girl.
The same girl. Yep. Because we had been together a couple of years. I was close knit with her family. I was going camping with them all the time. We were supposedly in love. We were going to get married. So she was the one who taught me about love. And I thought loyalty, but I guess that wasn't exactly true.
So she taught you love, and the way she taught it, just like how
Affection. Being there when I needed her. Telling me all the time she loved me. Doing the littlest things for me, as for like, she would bring me lunch all the time at work, cook me dinner. Like I said, I would go over and spend time with her. Her whole family loved me because I would be over at their house. And like I said, they were the ones who taught me about getting out, seeing the world, going camping and fishing with them as a family. So that's where I learned some of that from. At least I thought I was loved.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Exactly. Now that I'm older, I realize that. Because now I've seen a lot of things in life.
Right. So now to you, what's love to you now? And has it always been the same, or has it changed? If not, looking back, what is it now versus compared to what you thought it was then?
I don't think love to me has ever changed. For me, being a Leo, love is knowing that I can depend on you for anything at any time, at any place, and knowing that you have my back just as much as I have yours. Because for me, when I love that person, there's nothing in the world I wouldn't do for him. I'd go to jail for him. If I love you and I know that you love me back, I'll defend you to the end. So that has always been the same with me.
When you're in that love, how does it feel?
When it's right, it's great. It's great because you can look at that person and then be like, I could see myself with that person for the next 50 years.
Nice. Tell me about just a good day for you.
In the aspect of what I'm doing for that day,
Just however you would see it. It can be doing nothing. You can be doing a bunch of stuff.
for me, a good day involves getting up and going fishing. Fishing is my love. Fishing is something that whatever else bad is going on in my life at that moment, fishing calms me down because you get the time to shut the world out and just think about life and realize, you know, there are so many other things in the world that matter. The little bit of crap that's going on in your life at the moment doesn't really matter because there's always somebody worse off than you. So it gives me serenity and calmness. That's why I fish a lot. So for me, that's a good day, is to be able to get up and go fishing.
Tell me about a bad day and how you push through it.
I don't have a lot of bad days. My bad days stem from like if you're fighting with someone that you love, which we all do. I've just learned now that I'm older, I don't take it to heart. It's not worth it. I don't have much more time left on this earth to be mad the whole day about whatever's going on because I can't change how you feel. So why am I going to be mad the whole day? So I just try and just let it go.
What are two things or events, can be people too, that have shaped you, good or bad? How does it feel when you reflect on those things or events or people?
Let's see. Two things that have shaped me. Even though I don't always get along with my mom, like I said, I love her to death, and I know she tried as hard as she could, which made me be the man that I am today because she taught me values. Okay, so those are the good things. Bad things right now. Honestly, the way the world is separated right now, it irritates the crap out of me right now, and I try and not let it bother me, but you hear about it so much on the news, and it's concerning my race and the Hispanic race. To be honest, I mean, I don't dislike white people, but I don't trust them as much as I used to anymore because of the stuff that's going on in the world. You know, racism has always been there, but now it's at the forefront, and you get to see it so much more. And so I take people with a grain of salt now. I don't exactly, like I said, I don't exactly trust people 100% anymore like I used to. Because I see it at work, I see it when I'm not here. I've been pulled over, I don't know how many numerous times by the police.
Can you talk about a certain time, like whether it was pulled over
Mm-hmm.
or just how that transpired? That would have been.
The recent ones of being pulled over by the police just dress for work, tie, everything, coming out of my subdivision, seeing the cop cars right there, going past them waiting another 100 feet for them to pull up behind me and want to see who I was, wanting to see if I had any warrants. I mean, my car was working perfect. There was no reason to pull me over. And they were like, we're pulling you over because you didn't look at us when you passed by. Well, I never knew that was a law that I had to look at you. Then they proceeded to say they pulled me over because I fit the description of someone. Well, if I didn't look at you, how do you know what description I fit? Then they proceeded to ask me about my kids. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you asking me about my children? Give me whatever ticket you're going to give me and let me go about my way. My kids should not be a part of this conversation, and my kids don't even live in this state. So what's the problem? Once again, it was kind of racial profiling. They ran my license, nothing came up because I stayed clean. But there was no reason to have that done to me, and it's been done numerous times.
How does it feel when that happens?
It's degrading. It makes you want to honestly fight back. And for me, it's hard because I see all the stuff that goes on TV, and I know my personality. If you put your hands on me, there's going to be a fight. So I try my best to cooperate and not start anything, but at the same time, it's like you just really want to get pissed and hurt somebody because it's crap. There's no reason for it.
Do you feel, knowing that it is a police officer,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that if you did fight back, that you would end up pretty much in so much trouble, how does that feel in that moment? Because you want to fight back, but it's almost that you can't.
Right. It's a moment of fuck you. But like I said, I know in my heart, because my mom has always told this about me. She's like, you're one of my kids who I could see going to prison for a long time. To be honest, because she knows I don't like violence, but I'm not one who will turn the other cheek. That's just not me. So if I always have to tell myself if I get pulled over, relax. Don't let it go anywhere, because if it does, you're going to defend yourself, and you may end up in jail or even dead. So I have to remember what my mom taught me is just let them do their stuff. It's annoying, but let them do it. And then you can yell and scream about it later on once they're done. And what is so weird is because every time that's happened and they've checked my records, then they want to give me their card and say, have a nice day, Mr. Jones. It's like, no, take the card, throw it and throw it away. I don't need your card.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say has inspired you and why?
It still comes to an upbringing from my parents to be the best person I could be, because I never ever want my parents to be embarrassed of anything I've ever done in my life. So the life that I lead it because of them and for them. So I stay out of trouble.
What has been a humbling experience for you? And describe the feelings during that experience.
I think once again, the police thing, it humbles you to make you know that no matter what my race does, we're still second-class citizens. No matter what kind of education you have, no matter how you try and follow all the rules, you're still a second-class citizen in this world. So I'm still trying every day, but you do have those days where you're like, I don't think so. What the hell is it for?
Go in your mind and think this life event can be mental,
Hmm.
physical, spiritual. Tell me about a time in your life that you can relate with the word war.
Um, I think it was when my stepfather went to war, but I didn't know him then. But he would tell me stories about going to war, and eventually, um, he passed away at a young age. I think he was, let's see, I'm 56, so he was probably 58. And it stuck in my head that, hey, he survived the war and came back home, and cancer ended up killing him. And it wasn't, from what the doctors said, it wasn't even particularly the cancer, it was um, the surgery. He had a heart attack after the surgery in the hospital. But my thought was, how can you go through that? You go through a war with people shooting at you every single day of your life, and you survive. Then you come home, and you have a pretty decent life, and cancer catches up with you and kills you.
Tell me about a time that same thing. It can be mental, physical, spiritual, but tell me about a time that you can relate to the word peace.
Mm, let me think. I don't know if I have one, because my peace is camping and fishing.
Can you describe that moment, like when you're camping, in words, like you know how?
How it makes me feel.
Yeah,
Well, being from Alaska and everything's big there,
yeah.
it makes you realize how small you are. You truly are in this world, because you can look around and think, wow, God can paint a pretty picture, because everything is so serene and calm there. And like I said, you realize you're only on this earth for a short time, so you best make good of your time on this earth, because you're really this big in the big scheme of pictures.
Tell me about a truly difficult time in your life, the emotions that came with it, and how you endured.
Um, my biggest one probably so far has been finding out when my dad had prostate.
When
I
did you find
cried.
that out?
Um, right before well, right after I went to Vegas, so it would have probably been about 8 months now. My sister called me and told me that my dad had prostate, and he was stage 2 at that time, going into stage 3. And it was because we had finally gotten back
This is your
together.
biological father.
Yeah, my real father. So we had finally gotten back together and rebonded, and to find out your father might be dying, it's mind blowing, especially when you're so far away and there's nothing that you can do because you're so far away. Um, and I think my girl helped me through it, because she was really supportive, and she's like, "Hey, if you need to go home, let's get a ticket. Let's send you home." So I was in contact with my parents almost every day to check on my dad to see how he was. And so finally I was like, I really need to go home, because I don't know how much time I have left with him. But through the grace of God and chemotherapy, um, his prostate numbers eventually lowered. So right now, as we stand, he's good right now. So it was an eye-opening thing to find out you may lose your dad, even though I wasn't 100% close with him, because I was gone when I was a kid. But people make mistakes, and he's been trying to do the right thing. So I was starting to get closer with him. So, and I still see him almost every day when I go fishing with him.
So you pretty much just got through just
Praying and keeping in contact to make sure everything is okay with him. And then just coming home and spending time with him and getting to know him again, and going with him to all of his doctor visits to take him so I could hear from the doctor what was going on.
Could you tell me about a conversation you had with him at the hospital, if any?
I think that was the first time my dad and I really ever said we loved each other. And I'm 56, so it was a long time coming, but we needed to have that conversation that we loved each other, and my dad was proud of me of who I turned out to be, and I was proud of him that he was trying to be a better man. So it was a pretty good conversation.
Can you tell me about a truly joyous moment in your life and the emotions that came with that?
My children being born. I know a lot of guys say, well, those are the best times. But they honestly, they are. They are, because you realize you're on this earth for a bigger reason. And that reason is to make sure that your children do right, grow up the best way you can teach them to grow up, to be good people. And I love them to death, and I will always love my kids. But that was probably the best time. I mean, not seeing them born wasn't the best, but just realizing they're here on Earth was a good time.
What keeps you up at night, if anything?
As a parent, you worry about your children. And especially because they live in Alaska and I'm here. So I wonder if, and especially my daughter has a grandson, and, like I said, the world has changed. So I wonder if she's keeping him close to heart, because there are molesters out in this world, unfortunately. So I'm always constantly talking to her and saying, you know what, you need to be safe with your kids. And she's 100% safe. But, as a parent, because we've all been through things before our children have, you want to give them advice to keep them on the straight and narrow.
So you stay up just worrying sometimes, you're thinking, overthinking.
I think I think I really truly, and I'm realizing that I am my parents. Because my parents would do me like that too. Overthink things, even though I was okay. They'd be checking in 10 o'clock at night. Are you home? Did you make it home? Yeah. I do the same thing with my children. If I know they're going to go do something, I'll call them or text them. Hey, did you make it home? Is everything okay? Like my son recently, a year and a half ago, got in a car accident really bad. Was traveling a road late at night, which he shouldn't have been in the first place, and he was speeding, which he shouldn't have been in the second place. Hit a moose, totaled out his car completely. Ended up in the hospital, 2 black eyes, some cuts on his head, but thank God nothing else. And the police officer was like, it's a miracle you walked away from him, because usually a moose will total your car and kill you. So my thing is, you got to give him that lecture. Stop driving so fast. And wear your seatbelt. Because he didn't have it on either.
Right. All right, next. Let's see. What keeps you going every day?
God. Knowing that he can take me from this earth anytime he wants. Every day, I literally get up and say thank you. That's my first thing, is thank you for letting me have another day on this earth. So that keeps me getting up, going to work, and knowing that there are other people who are 3 times worse off than me. That's I dated a girl who had cancer, and she still does. But my theory was if she could get up every day hurting and put on clothes and do whatever she needed to do, why couldn't I? I'm nowhere near like she is. Nowhere near. She should have been off this earth like 2.5 years ago. She is actually the longest survivor of her cancer in Colorado. She has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I would see her every day get up, put her clothes on, even though she was hurting, and cook herself a meal or whatever she was doing. But she got up every single day. So why can't I?
How does that make you feel that God keeps you going every day? What emotion would you say or feeling you have with that relationship between you and Him?
Oh, I'm very, very thankful. I pray. I don't pray as much as I probably should, but I thank Him every day. But as far as like going to church and praying like that, I could do better. But I am truly thankful. Even on my bad days, I'm thankful that God has let me live the life I've led, because some of my friends that I went to high school are not here. Over stupid things, they're not here, and I'm still here.
So imagine yourself in the hospital right now.
Mm-hmm.
You only have hours to live. What would be your regrets?
My biggest one would be leaving my children in Alaska. That would be my biggest regret. Other than that, I think I was never one who really wanted to travel the world, so that wouldn't bother me. And I've probably done everything I've wanted in life to be happy. And I've never been a money person, so that wouldn't bother me. My biggest thing would be my children not here.
So you're not in the hospital. You're here, alive and well.
Mm-hmm.
So you said your one regret would be not having your kids or leaving the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that there's stuff you can do to make that better right now?
I could. I've asked my children. Well, my son came and stayed with me 2 summers ago, so we got to bond quite a bit. My daughter is definitely afraid of airplanes, so she won't come. Even though I've like, hey, I'll pay for your ticket. You can stay with me. You can move out from your crazy boyfriend. Which finally now she has split up with him. That's one of those times where I'm staying up overnight wondering what the hell is going on with my daughter. Yeah, I should probably go visit more often and spend more time with them. That's something I could probably do to make things more stronger between us.
Tell me what your dreams were as a kid to be a police officer. What are your dreams now?
Just to enjoy whatever time I have left on this earth without any. I know we all have issues, or we're going to have issues, but nothing that's going to be major and turn my life upside down. I mean, I see a lot of people that their main thing in life is to have $300,000 job or something like that. That's just not me. For me, my comfort is be able to pay my bills, be able to communicate with my children, and enjoy my immediate family, which is my girlfriend and my parents and my siblings and stuff who all live here now. To me, that's a good quality of life. And health. to be able to get up every day and go to work.
So you're the author of your life book.
Hmm.
This is just your book. It can end however you imagine it to end. So picture you're writing the last chapters, and picture with your words, and actually make us picture how you would want it to end. And how would you feel if it ends with your picture perfect end?
How would I want my life to end would be back in Alaska fishing in a river and have a heart attack and die right there.
Right?
Exactly.
That's the ending.
That's the serene thing. Yes.
That's good.
That's the calm for me.
How would you feel? Peace, right?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
That's it. That's all I have. That's it.
That didn't hurt.
That doesn't hurt at all, right?
No, not at all.